with your favorite LGBTQ authors. This is Anita Kelly, and my guest today is Kelly Farmer. Hello, Kelly.
Hello, Anita and listeners.
Yeah,
I was saying before we started recording that I was going to try very hard not to sing. Let's talk about books, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
you go. that
every
that was
time I,
that was
every time I
awesome.
listen to the podcast, that's what's in my head as soon as it starts.
That was awesome. That was an awesome rendition. We'll go with that. You're on record now.
Oh no.
and I love your first name, by the way,
It's,
Kelly.
you know, it's a keeper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my last name. So
Yeah.
yeah,
If we co-wrote something, it could be Anita Kelly Farmer.
there you go. Oh my goodness.
Already got the name. Now we just need the book.
All right, let's do it. We're doing it.
All right.
All right, sounds good. So, Kelly, you have a new book coming out. It's coming out soon, right?
Yes.
Is it
Calling. I'm sorry.
No,
I keep
go ahead.
interrupting
Yeah,
you.
no, you go. You talk.
Calling the Shots. It's book 3 of the Out on the Ice series, and it is releasing on November 15th, so very soon.
Nice. All right. Can you tell us about it? About calling the shots?
Yes, it is a sweet second chance-ish romance between rival pro women's hockey coaches.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have Tierney McGovern, who is an Ice Queen single mom, and she's very determined to protect herself and her daughter. And then we have Regan Lane, who is an outspoken former superstar hockey player, and she loves the limelight and says exactly what's on her mind at all times, even when she maybe shouldn't. It also has a very cute kid, a bunch of TV show references to some of my favorite shows, because why not?
Why not?
And there's also a lot of cameos from the characters in the first 2 books in the series.
Oh, awesome. So, was Ice Queen intentional for the ice hockey theme?
It's kind of perfect, right?
Yeah, it is. I like it.
Yeah,
So,
there are some references to her being, as frosty as the ice.
ooh, okay. So, I didn't realize this is all part of a series, and the series is called Out on the Ice.
Yeah, it's the Out on the Ice series, named after the first book in the series, which is Out on the Ice.
Okay. And when you started writing this series, like what got you involved in ice hockey? Are you a skater? Are you an ice hockey player? An ice hockey mom? I don't know. Fan?
I'm a fan of the sport. I do love hockey. Enjoy watching it quite a bit. I learned how to play it as an adult, which things like that teach you why children learn these things, because they're fearless and they just they don't care. They fly around, they fall, they could break appendages. They don't care. And as an adult, you're like, I can't break my leg because I can't go to work. I can't physically drive.
Yeah.
So I actually took a learn how to play hockey class, which was super fun because I skate pretty well. I love my hockey skates. I love them.
Uh-huh.
And I played floor hockey for a number of years.
Okay.
And I was good at them separately, but then when I tried to put them together, it was not pretty.
So floor hockey seems a little less dangerous to me than ice hockey.
It in theory, but also there's a lot less equipment. So I was
Oh.
always getting black eyes and bloody lips. And
Oh, that.
the next morning I would just send pictures to my poor mom. Yeah, this happened last night. Yeah, this happened last night. But you use a really, really hard plastic rubber ball.
Oh.
And when that thing hits you,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah. You'll take your eye out.
Yeah, we actually wore, protective eye gear because
Wow.
you kind of need those eyeballs.
Yeah. That's so cool though that you started this as an adult because you're right. It is a little more, I'll say, treacherous as an
Yes.
adult, right? You have farther to fall when you fall. Um,
Yeah, and you don't recover quite as fast as like you said, when you were a kid, you got a bruise, whatever. As an adult, it's like, man, this still hurts.
yeah, yeah, forever.
Yeah, for the next 10 years.
Uh-huh. Wow, that's great. Good for you. So, what made you decide to take up ice hockey then?
I had actually written many years ago. I've actually written two hockey romances. They were male-female romances,
Uh-huh.
and the guys played hockey in them. And I was interested in the sport and figured if I was going to write about this, like maybe I should get some real life experience and like know what it feels like. And
Wow.
and it was kind of one of those just fun things to do after I turned 30 and I had my tri-life crisis, and it was like I'm gonna do these things. So yeah, it was just kind of for fun and also sort of book research ish,
Yeah,
so that
that's
I knew
very.
what it felt like,
Uh,
what the smells are like. Like the equipment truly smells as horrible as everybody says.
I'm sure it's like football equipment.
Oh, it's just, I mean,
Dang.
there's nothing you can do to take the stink out. It's
Yeah.
just, it lives in there.
Yeah. In my previous position, my office, I worked in higher ed, and my office was in the athletic building, and it was upstairs by some coaches' offices, and
No.
yeah, I would walk
Oh
out the
dear.
back door, and there would be players lined up in the hallways, and oh god, the stench was bad.
Whew.
Yeah, I know that smell well.
Yeah, it's very specific,
That is.
and
So,
it's just trapped sweat. It's just no one's like Yankee Candle's not going to come out with like sweaty athlete equipment. Like
nah.
that's never going to be one of their signature
It
scents.
it could be one of those like scratch off like stickers. Remember those that they
Oh
had
my gosh.
skunk smells and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would be
yeah.
like the bad ones.
Uh-huh. So tell us about this whole Out on the Ice series. So Calling the Shots is number 3. Tell us
Yes.
about 1 and 2.
So the first book, which is Out on the Ice, it's a slow burn Grumpy Sunshine pairing because that's my favorite pairing. And it features Carol Cassidy, who is a retired women's player, and she runs an all-girls hockey school. And Amy Schwarzbach is an active player in my fictional women's pro league, and she comes to Caro's hockey school for the summer to like help out, but then she has to go. That's in Chicago, and she has to go back to Boston to play hockey in during the season. So they're only supposed to have a summer fling, but of course feelings happen, and they have to sort of navigate that long distance relationship fun and excitement. And then the second book in the series is called Unexpected Goals. And that is an enemies to friends to lovers between the dreaded US Canadian women's hockey rivals. Yeah, one is a Canadian, Maisie is the Canadian goalie, and Jen is the American forward who likes to score goals. And they are now teammates on the women's pro team in Boston. So they have to learn how to play nice together in order for the team to win, which of course they don't want to do, but then feelings happen.
Those darn feelings.
Those darn feelings happen in every book. How dare they?
So, that kind of is a good segue into my next question. Do you consider yourself like an emotive person? And do you think that being an emotive person or not being an emotive person influences how one writes, and you in particular?
This is a very deep question. It's a good one. I like it. I would have to say I kind of am one of those people who plays their cards very close to my chest.
Okay.
I I tend to go inward with my stuff,
Okay.
and I feel like I feel my feelings more physically. So when I'm writing, I notice that like my characters will have a lot of like clenched stomach, pulse pounding, like their reactions to things tend to be kind of physical,
Okay.
which I think I think that's something they've gotten from me. Sorry, guys. And yeah, I I think it's one of those chicken and egg things a little bit. Like when I write, I tend to just like dialogue, 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 and then I have to go back and add in the things like setting and emotions, and so it's kind of it's helped me be a better writer to be very conscious of like how are they feeling, how's this making her feel, and it also like has probably eked into my personal life of like how are you feeling about this, like not just the physical sensations but like how are you feeling about this. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that people who are in touch with their emotions, writing is probably, I don't want to say easier, perhaps it's more joyful because
So
it's yeah, you can get into your characters, you know, their core quite a bit more.
yeah, and it sounds like you can write more about those physical kind of reactions to feelings. Like you can be more descriptive, I would think, than you would be about kind of just like an emotional response without that physical response. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think too sometimes one of my favorite things to write is when the outside does not match the inside.
ooh,
So when somebody's like really upset about something, but their outside is just like, sure. And they turn, they do the crossed arms and they're clenching their fists, or,
or
I,
worse,
I
they're smiling.
yeah. Oh, but the smile doesn't reach their eyes.
Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
yeah, that's always fun to write when you're in that character's point of view. So like the reader knows like, oh, she's not happy at all about this, but
Yeah.
yet she's like, no, everything's fine.
Oh yeah. So you mentioned that you had two books that you wrote a while ago about hockey. So when did you actually start writing? And
I'm one of those kids who I've just always kind of written stories. It's actually funny. Tierney's daughter, Hope, in Calling the Shots, she's kind of a precocious 8-year-old who likes to write stories about animals, and that was me as an 8-year-old
oh,
writing
nice.
stories about like kittens and just like whatever random animal I was into at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started writing the most terrible teen romances in junior high. They're they're hysterical. Like if I need to laugh, I read these things
So
because
you still have them?
I have a box of them. They're like handwritten on spiral notebooks with
Awesome.
Garfield on the front.
Oh, cool.
They're so bad because I was like, 12, when
Uh huh.
I didn't know anything. So I was just writing these like terrible teen romances. But when I was in my early 20s, I sort of like got to that point of, I'm actually going to like write a book and I'm going to finish this one because, the teen ones I wrote, I just kind of like started them and then maybe I wrote like some scenes I wanted to and that was it. Because,
Tuck them away somewhere.
yeah, I was a teenager. I had other stuff to do.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah, so I was, early 20s. And then I actually like took years, but I wrote this very, very long historical romance. And then because it was historical, I realized that I had a contemporary author voice because I kept wanting my characters to swear and say like modern things.
Uh huh.
And so my second manuscript that I wrote was contemporary. And I was like, oh, this matches so much better. Yeah, and in the course of all of that, I managed to write hockey romance that was all from the hero's point of view. So like the guy, it was all in his point of view,
Okay.
which was very unmarketable at that time. And then I wrote another one that was actually like a male and a female goalies that had grown up together.
Wow.
She was better than him, and
Good.
he knew it.
Good.
So,
Of course she
uh,
was.
yeah, this was I wrote this book a long time ago, like well before women's professional hockey was on anybody's radar, and so that was interesting because for women hockey players, like they could play through college and they could be on the national team, and that was it.
Yeah. That's
Like
as far as it went.
yeah, your career was done before you were 30, and that just made me really sad, honestly, writing this book and being like, she's so good, but like she's reached her peak like of her career. And it's really cool now to be able to write about, a women's pro league because there is one.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool that I can do that now.
Oh.
And I will say for any other writers out there, if you want to write women's hockey romances, please do, because there are not enough. There are just a handful.
Yeah, there really aren't,
And I know readers are always asking for them, and like every 4 years when the Olympics roll around, everyone's like really invested in that US Canada rivalry. So please, if you have an idea in your head, go write it and shoot me an email and tell me you're writing it, because we need a lot more women's hockey romances out there, especially women living women hockey romances, because it happens all the time in real life.
There are really not a lot of romance novels that include women's sports. I mean, there's a couple I've seen more recently about soccer, couple of basketball, but really not a lot. But with other sports, yeah. So
we need more women athlete main characters in romance across the board. Doesn't matter what the pairings are.
There you go. Awesome. So, you are publishing with, is it Carina Press?
Yep, Carina Press.
Okay, I'm not familiar with them. Are they like a mainstream publishing house or an LGBTQ house?
I guess you would consider them a mainstream publishing house. They've been around for more than 12 years. They've been around for a long time. They are owned by Harlequin.
Oh.
So it's kind of funny. Yeah. You might have heard of them. And so it's kind of funny because like my contracts and things are with Harlequin, which always makes me giggle a little.
Oh, yeah.
And it's they do just a really great job publishing diverse titles and authors and stories. They have their like the Carina Press titles, which are everything from historical romance, contemporary, male romances, female. They have had trans leads in their stories. And they also have the Carina Adores line, which is specifically just LGBTQ plus titles. Oh. And they've had, if you're a, female romance reader, they, had Ruby Barrett's Hot Copy that came out this summer, and Chinsia C. Higgins' Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding. So yeah, they do a ton of hockey books. This is the funny part.
No way.
I jokingly call them Hockey Press because they put out a ton of, it's mostly like male or male female hockey romances. So
that's odd, right?
It's just hysterical because like inevitably every year like they contract with new authors and new books, and there's always a couple of them that are hockey romances. So
someone in that chain, in that editor chain at Carina likes hockey, apparently.
Yes. So that's what I tell people. I'm like, if you write hockey romance, be sure to send it to Carina Press, because they'll already be like, well, I like that already for. for the hockey.
That's
So,
great. That's great. So, are
so
you
yeah.
when you write, Kelly? Do you write solo? Always solo? Are you a part of a writing group? Have you ever been part of a writing group? Um, and if you were, how was that experience? Uh,
Yeah, I am always happy to talk about my writing groups because I would still be writing that very long historical romance probably without them. Yeah, I my main like writers group is the Chicago North Romance Writers.
okay.
It's an independent organization, and we've been having a lot of virtual stuff, because of because of this little pandemic that we've had.
Oh, that thing.
That thing that's ruined all in-person things. But yeah, they're amazing. We're a critiquing group, so that's where I've honestly learned more reading other people's work and seeing their work critiqued than my own. It's just that it's amazing absorbing that information.
Okay.
And yeah, I thank them in every single book. Thank you, and I probably always will
Oh, that's so
because
sweet.
yeah, they're amazing. It's a great group of authors. Highly recommend if you want to check us out. And then from that group, we actually formed a little thing called the Panera Supper Club, and that's like a small group of us who, yes, we used to get together at a Panera on Sunday nights, and they're
Imagine
my.
that.
I know, and the worst part is this Panera that we met at closed during the pandemic.
Oh no.
So we've since we found a different Panera
All
because
right. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah.
it's like what else is open late on a Sunday that
I
you can
know.
just sit there for hours?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, not much. Not
Yeah,
even
like
Barnes and Noble anymore.
no, and or they've like reduced hours, and so it's tricky to find places that will let you just sit there
Yeah,
till 10 o'clock at night.
totally. Yeah, it is. Yep. Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
So
So
yeah,
so you credit your group with really pushing you, kind of giving you that like kick in the butt that you needed to publish and keep going. That's awesome. Um, so when
yeah, and it's good too to have people who are excited about your story, and that's advice I would definitely give if you're like a newbie author is find your people who get you because your friends and family love you dearly, but they don't quite understand what you're going through and that you have these weird voices in your head that are like telling you to do stuff, good stuff, like write my story.
uh-huh.
So yeah, it's really good to have those people who you can just talk to and like get it and are like, yep, I'm here with you. I'm struggling with this too. Also, brainstorming is so much easier for someone else's book. Like, I could be stuck, and then I talk to the Panera Supper Club, and they're just like, well, why don't you just do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you have them blah blah blah? And you're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Duh. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, because
That's great.
yeah, we had a Zoomy brainstorm thing on Sunday night, and I read a couple pages,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they just like boo 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 boo, and I was like, yep, that all works. Thank you for making me seem like I'm a way better writer than I am because
That's
you guys are the geniuses right now.
oh, I'm sure that's not the case, but it's nice to have like your cheerleaders, right?
Yes, absolutely. They're the
Definitely.
people my little text chain, they're the first people I tell with good writer news.
Aw, that's so cool. Your buds.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I always check out authors who are going to be on the show, and I was looking at your website, and it is really comprehensive. Um, like I'm amazed. Like you have everything there. And so I'm wondering, do you manage that, or do you have someone else who manages the content? Um,
I actually do it all myself.
wow, that's
Yeah,
impressive. How do you
thank
have
you.
time?
I just it was trial by fire when having a website is one of those things they tell you as like a pre-published author, like be sure to have a website. And I was always like, but why? I have nothing to market. And then when I sold Out on the Ice and I had to like get it to my publisher for, them to format it in an ebook and everything, they needed a live link to like, they were like, we need the link to be live when you turn this in. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to make a website like right now. So it's obviously gotten much better since the one I threw up there, but it's just kind of thank goodness for Wix. Shout out to Wix for making it easy.
Okay.
I like to have that ability to just go in and change stuff really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just went on it yesterday to add a virtual event that I'm doing, and it just just takes a few minutes.
Cool.
When I start messing around with the format and like deleting things and adding things, that takes forever because I'm probably doing it the least like I'm sure there's a way better way to do it, but I'm just winging it. Well,
it looks great. Whatever you're doing a great job because it's fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah. I kind of like I wanted it to be like a friendly chat vibe. Like I'm not a very formal person, and so I was like, my website's just going to be like, hey, here's me. This is what it's all about. And I also wanted to have a page where like I have information for aspiring authors. The writing info page on my website, which is kellyfarmerauthor.com. There's just some like links. There's a lot of links basically to writers groups, hashtags you can follow, podcasts you should listen to.
Oh, how about that?
Whatever we can do. Yeah, whatever you can do to help the person who's behind you, bring them with you. That's what I'm hopeful.
That's a great philosophy. So the website is kellyfarmerwriter.com?
It's Kelly Farmer Author. Yeah, I know.
All right.
Super fancy.
kellyfarmerauthor.com. So listeners, check it out. It's pretty cool. I think you'll like it.
Thanks.
So Kelly, who out of all of your characters that you have developed and written about and included in your books, who is your favorite?
This is tough because we love them all.
Uh-huh.
But I do have to say that Regan Lane, she's one of the main characters in Calling the Shots. She's one of those characters that just kind of burst into my head, like kicked the door down and was like, so you're going to tell my story. And, just sat there and like tapped her foot until I actually got around to it. She's just one of those people who, says exactly what's on her mind. And writing her was fun because normally when you're writing a character, you're kind of like, what would they say? How would they react? And with Regan, it was just like, yeah, she's going to say that. Yep, she's going to say that. Wow. And there was no filter. It was just like, she's going to say that. Okay, let's go.
That's fantastic that she just came so easily to you.
Yeah. Some characters are less forthcoming. Then you have to fight with them a little. But it's funny because so many of the characters I write are like, there's a part of me in them. And Regan is the me I wish I could be. Because again, she just says whatever's on her mind.
Is she the professional ice hockey player?
She is the former player turned coach.
Okay, but not the mom.
Yeah, she's not the mom. The mom is the ice queen.
Okay, all right.
Who is saying nothing that's on her mind.
All right. Now, must one read these in, order, or can you pick up Calling the Shots and just read that as a standalone?
You can absolutely read any of them as a standalone. I will say that you may get a little more out of each book if you read them in order because they sort of, reference back to what happened in the last books or, how these characters are doing, like spoiler that Amy and Caro from Out on the Ice, which is book 1, they're married in book 3. So like you get to see like how's married life going, and so that's super fun. If you haven't read them, you sort of probably get the sense of like, oh, I guess these are the people from the other book, whatever. Like, okay, good for them.
Uh-huh.
But there's little,
Mm-hmm.
there's little nuggets of joy for the readers of the books that you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's so and so.
So when you started writing Out on the Ice, did you intend for it to be a series, or was it supposed to be just a standalone?
I think I very quickly had it form as a series in my head. The very first idea I had, I was what sort of kicked off my writing about women's hockey was the 2018 Olympics gold medal game between Team USA and Team Canada.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It was that nail biter that went to a shootout.
Yeah.
Like that one just like, I mean, it brought it all back. Like, I want to write about hockey again. And so the first idea was like, oh, it needs to be a US Canada rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And that like ended up not working for the characters that came to me. So I saved that for the second book. So I knew I had to write the second book because like I have to write the, US Canadian rivalry. Like you have to.
Yeah. That's a part of hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, at some point during brainstorming of stuff, Reagan, like I said, waltzed in, was like, hi, I need a book too. So you're going to write mine.
I love it. That's great. So, what do you think? You have a piece of your website that's devoted to helping aspiring authors. What do you think is are some common traps that aspiring writers fall into?
I had two that popped into my head, and they're kind of two sides of a coin.
Okay.
The first one is what I did when I started out was not finishing a manuscript and just revising the same 5 paragraphs for years.
Oh, wow.
And this is, a lot of like newer writers that I know. This is the big trap of just like, they start writing it because it's awesome. Like I'm writing a book. It's so fun. And then maybe you join a writer's group or, you read some books on craft. And then you're like, oh, wait, there's like a way to a way you're supposed to do this. And like, oh, you need your characters need a goal. And, oh, this is how you structure a manuscript. And then, so you go back to page 1 and you start revising and then like you never get past page like 100.
Yeah.
So that's advice I always say is like just keep writing and get to the end, because like first of all you get that enormous satisfaction to say you wrote an entire book.
Yeah,
which like
quite
a
an
lot of people
accomplishment.
can't say.
Yeah.
Yes, like that in and of itself is amazing. So and also like once you get to the end of the book, you actually know what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
So all that, if you get your first 5 chapters perfect, it doesn't matter, because chapters 6 through end,
Yeah.
like you still have to revise all that too. So just don't worry too much about getting it perfect. I would say definitely just have fun and enjoy it. It's so cool. You're writing a book, like you're making up a world and you're creating people. That's super cool.
It is super cool. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I have just the opposite problem. I have finished a couple of books, but I hate going back and editing them and changing things.
So you're me now. Well, that's actually a perfect segue to the flip side. The other advice I would say is not editing books enough. Because it is amazing and magical. I love drafting. That's my favorite part. Yeah. When I'm just, discovering this and everything great happens and it's so much fun. And then you type the end. Mm-hmm. And I would love to just be like, okay, let's move on.
That's all for now.
Yeah, like that was fun. And indie publishing is so amazing. And I'm thrilled that it exists. But, if you're a first-time author, it's really tempting to just like type the end and then, go to the Zon and be like, upload. I wrote a book.
Yeah.
Buy my book.
Yeah.
And you know, we definitely need some distance from our books. Like I don't usually recommend saying like type the end and then just go back to page 1 and start editing.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a week or 2 to like clear the book out of your head, and then you do have to edit it. I'm so sorry. But I promise you it will make the book better.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so yeah, definitely like give it that read through. Find all the places that, you know, you wrote in brackets, fix this, or more here.
Mm-hmm.
Research this. That's my favorite. Research this, because I'm like, I don't know, I'll figure that out later.
Oh yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I'm very envious. I know actually a couple writers who will just write a book and they write what they know, so they don't have to do a lot of research and they don't have to do a lot of editing. Like they just have got it down. It amazes me, you know? It just amazes me. I
And
guess
some people, yeah, you know, everyone's process is different.
yeah.
And some people write very clean first drafts.
Yes.
So, yeah, they need very little editing. And then you have the other people who do that, like the 0 draft or the vomit draft, where it's just like,
Yeah.
here's my thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with these thoughts and
Yeah.
see where it takes me.
Exactly. So I have learned that since I don't like editing that much, I try to write cleaner first drafts so it's less painful.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart. Smart. I like that.
Yeah.
So
And I actually like I like that first edit because that's when you like are like, okay, I know what the book's about now. Let's make it better. But like by copy edits and proofreads, I'm like, oh my God, I never want to read this book again.
I'll bet.
Those are the worst then, because then you have like somebody who actually knows the rules of the English language, unlike me, who's just like making them up. That like, they're like, you know, a hyphen goes here. I have no idea where hyphens go. So I'm like, fine, I don't care. Whatever. Yes, hyphen.
It's the semicolon that gets me.
Yes. Yeah. And for me, it's like the colon. It's like, is the next letter capitalized? I don't know.
That's what editors get paid to do, right?
Sometimes what I have to tell myself is like, just if it's wrong, someone who actually knows will fix it.
Yep, there you go. All right. So, do you like to hear from your readers, Kelly?
I do. I love chatting with lovers of love and people who enjoy reading about love.
Nice. So how would they get a hold of you? How would someone reach out to you? Where can they contact you? Like on your website at kellyfarmerauthor.com? Can they, excuse me, contact you there? All right.
I made my website kind of a one-stop shopping. So there is on the bottom of every page on the website, there's a place where you can sign up for my newsletter. And I send it like once a month. I also, if you sign up for my newsletter, I have some short bonus stories in the Out on the Ice series that tell one of the minor characters in the series, Gina Morales. It tells her story in the short stories. So if you sign up for my newsletter, you get access to those. And yeah, I kind of let you know what's up in my newsletters. There's also links to my social media and, you know, BookBub and Amazon and all that fun stuff. If you want to connect on social media, I'm on Twitter the most, and that is at Kelly Farmer Auth, AUTH, because Twitter wouldn't allow 2 more stinking letters.
Yeah, we know how they are.
Everyone's trying to figure out how to shove their name into the fitting into the you know, and it's all about shoving things to fit in Twitter, you know. Like,
I know, it really is.
Okay, I'll delete the word and put the ampersand.
No
and then,
spaces. Just a run-on words.
Yeah.
So
one thing I like better, I'm also on Facebook. So one thing I like slightly better on Facebook is I don't have to do that. I can be wordy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my author Facebook page is Kelly Farmer Author. because I could use all the word letters in author.
They are not the letter Nazis. So
They're like, just be verbose.
yeah,
It's all good.
All right. All right, listeners. So you can contact Kelly at kellyfarmerauthor.com or on Twitter at kellyfarmeroff or on Facebook at kellyfarmerauthor. So check out her website. Check out her books. Her latest book that's coming out is called
Calling the Shots.
The Shots. Yes, Calling the Shots. And those are available anywhere you get your books. Is that right?
They are digital titles. So basically anywhere that you like to download your ebooks.
Okay.
They're on all the major retailers.
Awesome.
So,
all right. Yeah. All right. You heard it here first, folks. Get it. So, Kelly, any parting words for our listeners today?
Yeah. I just wanted to thank you all so much for reading about women falling in love and supporting and celebrating Sapphic love. It's so awesome to be able to tell these stories and to share in the joy of, two knuckleheads falling in love with each other.
Well, we appreciate that you write about these knuckleheads so that we can read about them. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So that is all the time we have for today. I'm Anita Kelly, and thanks for joining Let's Talk About Books, baby. And again, thanks to our author today, Kelly Farmer. And again, check out her series called Out on the Ice. And her latest book in that series is called Calling the Shots. So until next time, may your journey be lighthearted, peace be plenty, and be safe, folks.